France came out on top in recent research by the World Report regarding spreading cultural influence worldwide. France is one of the world's oldest nations when it comes to science, politics, and economics, and maybe most importantly, culture. Despite the cultural disparity, you can find anything right there. So how does it manage to maintain a strong economy? Let's start with a small introduction about France. Introduction. With territory and islands spanning continents and oceans, France is one of the most geographically diverse countries in Europe. The economic system in France is a blend of individual freedom and centralized economic planning with some controls by the government. France ranks among the United States, Japan, Germany, and Italy as a worldwide economic superpower. The Trente Glorieuses were the years after World War II until the mid-1970s, when the country's financial situation showed significant improvement, the 30 years of glory. This 6% annual growth rate was only seen between 1960 and 1973. Growth rates dropped dramatically and unemployment skyrocketed during and soon after the 1970s oil crisis. Fast growth had been restored by the late 1980s though. This trend remained throughout the 21st century, but at a more gradual rate than before. History. Since the revolution of the late 18th century, the economic history of France has been linked to three key events and trends: the Napoleonic era, the struggle with Britain and its other neighbors over industrialization, and the total wars of the late 19th and early 20th centuries. The economic rearrangement that took place after World War II had far-reaching effects. However, tertiary, mostly corporate and governmental sectors have become the country's most important source of employment and wealth, whereas agriculture was the dominant industry in the 1950s. Similarly, whereas northern and northeastern France, which are densely inhabited and industrialized, used to be the fastest growing regions, this trend started to reverse itself in the 1980s as well. The south and west of France have seen the most increase in recent years. But despite its strong emphasis on business, France has always had a diverse economy. Several former governments have interfered with national aims and nationalized firms to promote or safeguard specific economic activity in the country. After World War II, there were a series of national plans, each lasting around 4 to 5 years and intended to suggest growth objectives or development methods rather than impose them. That's how it worked in France at any rate. As France transitioned from World War II to the Cold War, the public sector grew important, with major banks like the National Bank of Paris and Crédit Lyonnais, large industrial firms like Renault, and public utilities like gas and electricity all being nationalized between 1944 and 1946. Until 1982, not much had changed that. That was the year the communist government began a vast program of nationalization. Consequently, the expanded public sector employed over 1/5 of the industrial workforce, and state-owned banks and financial institutions controlled over 4/5 of credit facilities. As time has gone by, successive administrations on both the right and left on the political spectrum have shifted the ownership of the majority of companies back to the private sector, except for transportation, military, and media. Increases in living standards have coincided with post-war economic expansion, as seen by the growing share of French families who own their house, nearly half, a shorter workday set at 35 hours, and an increase in the number of vacation days used annually. The increasing ownership of different homes and consumer products, such as vehicles and computers, is another sign of better living conditions. Consumption habits, on the other hand, have changed dramatically throughout time. Because of this, people are spending more on other things like housing, transportation, recreation, and healthcare instead of food and clothing. Employees pay a high to moderate tax rate on their earnings, while indirect taxes and VAT are rather high. If you think the information is useful, please subscribe to our channel. Also, comment below to share your opinions. Challenges. France is a developed nation and a global power. The nation's economy is diverse, with tourism, manufacturing, and pharmaceuticals among the most important sectors. After Germany, France has the EU's second largest economy and the second highest population density. Like other EU nations, France has been plagued by high unemployment since the global financial crisis of 2008. Other European countries have seen a decline in unemployment since then, but France's productivity and competitiveness have been harmed as a result. High unemployment rates. Unemployment in France is still high, notwithstanding recent improvements. In the fourth quarter of 2019, France's unemployment rate was 8.1%, lower than the previous quarter's 8.5% and the year earlier's 8.8%. The unemployment rate in France is the fourth highest in Europe. The unemployment rate for workers aged between 25 to 49 years old was 7.4% in the fourth quarter of 2019, down from 7.9% in the third quarter. Workers over the age of 50 had a greater chance of advancing in their careers than those under 50. As a consequence, the country's unemployment rate declined from 6.3% to 5.8%. The slow growth of the economy. According to Banque de France's December 2019 forecast, the French economy would rise to 1.3% this year. According to the bank, in 2020, the growth rate was expected to slow to 1.1% before picking back up in 2021 and 2022. The bank said the global economy might worsen, but robust local demand would keep things going. Food and energy price reductions would bring inflation down to 1% in 2020. The country's challenges are made even worse by a poor growth economy. High unemployment rates put pressure on the French economy since a decreasing share of the population funds unemployment benefits. High rates of young unemployment are especially problematic because they limit the potential of this generation to develop new skills and save money for the future. The reduced labor costs and other labor changes allowed France to establish 1 million new paid positions in the 4 years from 2016 to 2019. According to the bank, wage tax changes, unemployment benefit modifications, and more vocational training were all projected to contribute to increased job creation. Lagging competitiveness. The competitiveness of France has deteriorated. France has long maintained a trade imbalance, which means it buys more than it exports. As of 2018, the country's current account deficit was 15.1 billion euros, down to 16.4 billion euros in 2017. The growth in trade and services ascribed by the Banque de France to R&D and professional management services was responsible for the improvement. However, France's current account was strained because of the country's higher energy costs. Want to know more about the policies that France must follow to be on the top? Well, here they are. Future. French companies may become more competitive by reducing personnel expenses, made possible by the Competitiveness and Employment Tax Credit, or CICE. Many French firms cannot satisfy demand because, despite decreasing labor costs, they don't have enough qualified workers. This might be improved with government improvements to apprenticeships and vocational training, a number between 13 and 14. France is making progress in the field of attracting FDI. Even as French businesses battle for market share in other countries, global corporations are flocking to France because the country has grown more business-friendly under Macron's leadership. According to estimates, FDI into the nation increased to $37.3 billion in 2018 and $29.8 billion in 2017. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Which country's economics would you like to see explained next? Write it in the comments section below.